Hi, my name is Ken, and I'm a student at the most famous cooking school in the world, Le Cordon Bleu, just a few blocks from the Eiffel Tower. The Cordon Bleu Cuisine and Pastry School was founded in Paris in 1895. It owes its name to the ancient and prestigious Royal Order of the Holy Spirit, known as the Order of the Cordon Bleu. As a result, the name Cordon Bleu became synonymous with culinary excellence. Like the students, you too will benefit from the chef's experience, nearly a century of experience in teaching gastronomy. The program is organized in the form of complete menus, from easy to prepare to the more elaborate recipes which will take you progressively towards discovering the subtle nuances of traditional haute cuisine. At this typical neighborhood market, you can find everything you need to prepare your recipes. For the avocado and shrimp cocktail, the scampi or large shrimp will be poached in a court bouillon. The court bouillon consists of a bouquet garni, carrots, garlic and onion, peppercorns, vinegar, boiling water, and salt. Then the chef will puree some of the avocados for the sauce. He will use both pink and white grapefruit for a more colorful presentation. The salad will be decorated with diced tomatoes and fresh herbs. Court bouillon: 3 cups water, 1 bouquet garni, leek, celery, parsley, thyme, bay leaves, 1 onion coarsely chopped, 1 carrot coarsely chopped, 6 cloves garlic crushed, 10 peppercorns, a ½ cup vinegar, salt, 24 uncooked scampi or large uncooked shrimp, 3 medium tomatoes peeled, seeded, and diced, 2 white grapefruit, 2 pink grapefruit, 8 avocados, 1 teaspoon sherry vinegar, salt, freshly ground pepper. Start by cooking the scampi, since they must be cooled and peeled later. To cook the scampi, first make the court bouillon. Boil the water and add the bouquet garni. As always, the bouquet garni contains leek, celery, parsley, thyme branches, and bay leaves. To get the most flavor from the onions, slice them coarsely. Also, cut up the carrots coarsely. Since these vegetables are just for flavor, it's not necessary to slice them finely. Carefully crush the whole garlic cloves with the side of a large knife. Also add some whole peppercorns. Je vais mettre les langoustines dans ce court bouillon. You'll cover the pot and let it simmer for 3 minutes. Then you'll remove it from the heat and let the scampi cool for a few minutes in the court bouillon. Now prepare to peel the tomatoes. Boil some water in a medium saucepan. Using the point of a small knife, cut the stems out of the tomatoes. Prepare a large bowl of ice water, which will be used to cool the tomatoes rapidly. Put the tomatoes into the rapidly boiling water for just a few seconds, then transfer them immediately into the ice water. The thermal shock will make the skin very easy to remove. Cut all of the white part of the skin off the grapefruit. The white skin is very bitter and must be removed completely.
Faut bien enlever la peau blanche parce que c'est une peau qui reste amère.
Then cut the grapefruit into sections. Do this by cutting the flesh away from the membrane. Save all of the juice. Peel the tomatoes with your fingers or with a small knife. Remove the scampi from the court bouillon. You should always avoid overcooking them.
Alors, il faut éviter de trop cuire les langoustines, parce qu'elles finissent en compote de langoustine. On enlève d'abord.
Peel them by first removing the end of the tail. Then carefully peel the whole tail, leaving the tail meat attached to the body.
Délicatement.
By this point, the chef has prepared the peeled tomatoes, white and pink grapefruit sections, and cooked scampi. Cut 2 avocados in half and remove the pits. Use a spoon to scrape out the flesh and puree it in a food mill or food processor. Whisk in 1 teaspoon of vinegar. Always use good quality vinegar. The chef is using sherry vinegar. Season the avocados with salt and pepper. Whisk in some of the grapefruit juice and continue to add it until it has the consistency of a coulis. Traditionally, the difference between a sauce and a coulis is that a sauce is cooked and a coulis is raw. Slice the remaining avocados. Cut the tomatoes in half. Remove the seeds and dice the flesh.
Le coulis d'avocat est prêt. Les pamplemousses jaunes, les pamplemousses roses.
Now that all of the elements are ready, you can proceed to the presentation of the salad. As you can see, these avocados have a beautiful bright green color. The chef is presenting one salad on an individual plate and the other on a large platter. If you won't be serving this salad immediately, be sure to coat the avocado slices with some of the grapefruit juice to prevent the flesh from darkening. Following this succulent recipe, Chef Jacques Martin will prepare for us profiteroles au gruyère. Gruyère choux puffs. Serves 6. Here are the ingredients. Choux pastry, 2/3 cup water, freshly grated nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon salt, a 1/4 teaspoon freshly ground white pepper, 3 tablespoons unsalted butter, 9 tablespoons all-purpose flour, sifted, 3 eggs, unsalted butter softened for baking sheet, 1 egg slightly beaten for glazing, a 1/2 cup shredded Gruyère cheese, Mornay sauce, 4 tablespoons unsalted butter, 5 tablespoons all-purpose flour, 2 cups cold milk, 2 egg yolks, salt, freshly ground white pepper, freshly grated nutmeg, 1 cup shredded Gruyère cheese. First, make the pâte à choux, or choux pastry. Preheat the oven to 425 degrees. Pour the water into a medium saucepan.
une pointe de noix de muscade râpée.
Add some nutmeg,
Nous allons ajouter une pincée
a pinch of salt, and a pinch of white pepper, since this should be a flavorful dough.
et une pincée de poivre. Ceci pour faire une pâte suffisamment relevée.
Put the pan on medium heat
Moyen,
and add the butter.
et j'incorpore dedans le beurre. Le principe de la
As
pâte
the
à choux
water
consiste
heats,
donc
the butter
à
will
faire
melt.
fondre le beurre.
Once it comes to a
complètement dans
boil,
l'eau.
all of the butter
Et
should be melted.
lorsque le beurre est
Meanwhile,
intégralement
brush the
fondu,
baking sheets with
que
softened
l'eau est
butter.
en ébullition,
Remove the boiling mixture from the heat and add all of the flour
et
at
à ce
once.
moment, on incorpore dedans la farine.
Mix thoroughly with a wooden spoon until it forms a thick,
On
smooth
l'incorpore
dough.
petit à petit.
Remove it from the heat, add 1 egg, and beat well until the egg is completely absorbed. Repeat the same process for the second egg. Beat the remaining egg in a separate bowl and add it gradually until the dough is smooth, shiny, and falls slowly from the spoon in a point. It may not be necessary to use all of the last egg, or it may be necessary to add all or part of another one.
Donc, il ne faut pas
It
que
is
la
very
farine
important that the dough has this
la
consistency.
bonne consistency.
Fit a pastry bag with a plain round half-inch tip. Use a plastic pastry scraper to fill it halfway with the dough. It will be difficult to control if it is filled more than halfway. Pipe small round mounds of dough onto the buttered baking sheets. They should be 1 to 2 inches wide and about half an inch high. Leave a 2-inch space between each mound. Brush the top of each shoe with egg glaze, which is made by simply beating a whole egg. Gently flatten down the points as you brush on the egg. Sprinkle each shoe with a little shredded Gruyere cheese.
On place surtout du fromage râpé.
Then you will bake them in the preheated oven for 15 minutes. Do not open the oven during this time or the shoe will not puff or rise properly. You will reduce the heat to 350 degrees and continue baking for about 10 minutes or until golden brown.
While the choux puffs are baking, make the Mornay sauce. First, make a béchamel sauce, starting with a white
Voilà,
roux.
le beurre étant intégralement
Put a
fondu,
saucepan on
je vais
medium
ajouter
heat. Add the
40
butter
grammes
and melt
de
it without
farine.
allowing it to color. Once the butter is completely melted, add the flour. Whisk the flour and butter well to eliminate any lumps. Cook the roux for about 2 minutes, whisking constantly. Be sure to scrape the bottom of the pan well with the whisk to prevent it from sticking and burning.
Blanc et
Since
cuit,
this will be a white
je vais donc
sauce, the roux
ajouter
must be
maintenant
white. So do not
500
allow it
grammes de
to
lait
color.
froid.
After cooking the roux for a few minutes,
Pour faire
pour
le
in the
béchamel,
cold milk. Continue to
Vous
whisk the
ajoutez
sauce
le
as
lait
you add the milk.
froid dans le roux
To make
chaud.
bechamel sauce correctly, always use a hot roux and cold milk. Whisk the sauce constantly as you bring it to a boil. Allow it to boil for 2 minutes to cook it completely, but do not stop whisking it. After boiling it for 2 minutes, remove it from the heat. It should have a medium consistency, neither liquidy nor too thick.
L'ébullition pendant 2 minutes pour la cuire complètement.
Now add the egg yolks to the hot bechamel sauce. This must be done off the heat, and the egg yolks must be mixed in very quickly to prevent them from being cooked by the heat of the sauce.
Et noix de muscade.
Whisk well to incorporate the egg yolks
Alors,
thoroughly.
il faut veiller à mettre
Then
un petit
season
peu
the
moins de
sauce
sel
with
que
salt
dans une
and white
béchamel
pepper.
normale, parce que nous allons mettre du fromage
Since you will
râpé.
be adding Gruyere cheese, which is normally a little salty, be careful not to add too much salt now.
Un petit peu de noix de
Also,
muscade.
season it with a little bit of freshly grated nutmeg or nutmeg powder. Not too much, though, since nutmeg is very strong.
Et maintenant, le gruyère râpé.
Add the shredded Gruyere cheese and mix it in well. With the simple addition of egg yolks and Gruyere, this bechamel sauce has become a Mornay sauce. Here you can see the desired consistency for the Mornay sauce. It should flow slowly when lifted.
Voyez comment ça
Taste the
file
sauce and adjust the seasonings.
avec
When the puffs have at least doubled in volume, remove them from the oven and allow them to cool on the rack. Fit a pastry bag with the same tip and use a plastic pastry scraper to fill the bag halfway with the Mornay sauce. Pierce the bottom of each shoe with the point of a small round pastry tip.
chez vous. Vous ne demanderez pas. Vous vous approchez, je ne vais pas vous demander.
Pipe some hot sauce into each shoe
Approchez pour tout, hein.
and serve them immediately. Next is an onion tart prepared by Chef Alexandre Petrov. Here are the ingredients. Pâte brisée, 1 cup all-purpose flour, a ½ cup cake flour, a ¼ teaspoon salt, 7 tablespoons unsalted butter softened, 1 tablespoon cold water, 1 egg, 1 egg slightly beaten for glazing, 1 pound onions finely sliced, 1 cup water, salt, freshly ground pepper, freshly grated nutmeg, 5 tablespoons unsalted butter, 3 egg yolks, 1 cup heavy cream.
On fait le fond cuit à blanc, c'est-à-dire avec rien
The
à
chef is
l'intérieur.
explaining that this onion
Ensuite,
tart
on
will be
mettra
made
la
in several
garniture,
steps,
la sauce,
starting
et
with
on
the
fait la
preparation of the
cuisson
pâte
finale.
brisée. The pâte brisée will be made with flour,
Beurre,
softened
œufs,
unsalted butter,
du
eggs,
sel, bien sûr,
salt, and
puis une
water.
cuillère d'eau.
The filling
Bien, la
consists of finely
garniture,
sliced
c'est-à-dire
onions,
les
which will be
oignons.
well cooked
Alors
with a
ici,
little
ce sont
water,
des
butter,
oignons
and seasonings.
émincés.
The ingredients for the
On
quiche
fera un
mixture are
appareil, ce qu'on
crème
appelle la
fraîche,
quille,
eggs,
de
and
farine.
seasonings. To make the dough, measure the flour and heap it on a cool working surface. Form a well in the center. Put a pinch of
Dans le
salt
centre,
into the
on
well.
met une pincée de sel, 100
Measure
grammes
the
de
softened
beurre,
butter. In France, butter is almost always unsalted, so salt is added to the dough. In this recipe, it is possible to use salted butter and leave out the additional salt. Add a
Donc,
tablespoon
on a
of water
tous
and
nos
break the
ingrédients
egg
de
into
près,
the
hein,
well.
la farine,
Now, all of the ingredients for the
fontaine,
pâte brisée are in
de
place.
l'eau,
The
du
flour is in a
sel,
well
un
with the
œuf,
water,
le
salt,
beurre
and egg in the center.
bien empourré à
The
la
butter
côté
must be
et
very
surtout
soft, and you should have a
de
plastic
prendre
pastry
sa
scraper
corne et de
ready.
laisser sur le côté.
First, use one
La
hand to mix
première
the
chose
water,
consiste
salt,
à
and egg in the
délayer
center.
le sel,
Dissolve the salt
à bien
completely in the
mélanger
liquid.
l'œuf, l'eau et le
You can
sel,
then incorporate a tiny
de
bit of
manière que le
flour,
sel
which will
soit
help to bind the
complètement
mixture.
fondu. Voilà. À la rigueur, on prend un tout petit peu de farine pour aider le mélange. Voilà. Quand
Once
le
the
sel
salt
est
is
complètement
dissolved,
fondu,
add the
on met le
softened
beurre
butter
en
and mix it with
pommade
the egg, water,
au
and
milieu
salt.
de la fontaine.
This method
on
is
travaille
used
le
because it
beurre
produces a dough which is
avec
not
l'œuf.
elastic.
Voilà, alors ce système, c'est le meilleur système parce qu'il consiste à ce que la pâte ait la même texture que le beurre. C'est-à-dire qu'elle ne soit pas élastique. Voilà.
After
Alors,
the butter is
quand
well
le beurre
incorporated,
est bien mélangé
begin to
avec
cut
l'eau,
in the flour with the pastry scraper.
Voilà. Ensuite, on va couper de manière à mélanger le beurre et la farine en gardant toujours
Cut until everything is
la
well
même
blended.
texture.
Work quickly
Voilà,
to
la
prevent the butter
farine est
from melting.
complètement absorbée. Ensuite, on va phraser la pâte avec la paume.
Then use the heel of your hand to push the dough against the surface in small quantities. This technique is used to eliminate lumps and obtain a smooth dough. In French culinary terms, it is called fraisé. Once the dough is smooth, form it into a ball.
Voilà, on rassemble.
Scrape the work surface well and add any scraps
Voilà.
to the
Il ne
ball.
doit plus rien rester sur la table. Voilà. Et alors, la pâte est pétrie.
The
et
chef
elle a
is
la
showing
même
you the
texture
consistency that the
que
dough
le
should
beurre.
have.
C'est-à-dire qu'elle n'est
It
pas
should not be elastic
élastique.
and should have the same texture as
On
butter.
fait une boule.
Flatten the dough a little and wrap it in parchment paper or plastic wrap.
Et on le met
Allow it to rest in the refrigerator for 10 to 15 minutes before using it.
un quart d'heure.
Preheat the oven to 400
Le
degrees.
moule à tarte cannelé avec
Prepare to line
le
the
fond
tart mold.
qui se défait.
You will need pastry
Il
pinchers,
faut un
a
petit peu
2-part
de
tart
farine
mold,
et on
a
garde
rolling
toujours cette
pin,
corne auprès
a
de
little
soi.
flour,
Alors,
and a
on va
pastry
fleurer
scraper.
légèrement
Lightly dust the cool work surface with
la
flour.
table. On reprend la pâte.
Flatten the dough a little with your hands and begin to roll it out. Roll little by little and always apply gentle but even pressure to the rolling pin. Pivot the dough as you roll it to prevent it from sticking to the work surface and to make it round. Roll it out until it is 1/8 inch thick throughout.
Alors on la met à 3 mm d'épaisseur.
Dust the dough lightly with flour and fold it in
Alors le
quarters.
moule n'est pas
Do
beurré.
not butter the
parce que la
tart
pâte est
mold.
très, très riche.
This dough contains a
en
lot
beurre.
of butter and does not risk sticking. Gently place the dough
Voilà,
onto
le
the
premier
mold
travail
and
consiste
unfold it, draping
à
it
faire
loosely over the
descendre la
sides.
pâte
Lift the
dans
edges of the
l'angle du
dough
moule.
and use your
Ça,
fingers
c'est
to
très,
lower it
très
into the
important.
corners of the mold.
Petit à petit,
Do this carefully, little
de
by
manière à
little,
ce qu'il n'y ait
without
plus
stretching the
d'air
dough.
entre le
There should be
moule
no air
et la
between
pâte.
the mold
On va
and the
prendre de la
dough.
pâte de l'extérieur, on va la mettre à
After doing
l'intérieur
this
du
all the
moule,
way around the mold,
et
use your
en
thumb
même
and
temps,
index finger to form a
on va
1/4
la
inch
couper
horizontal lip
avec le pouce.
around the inside of the
Et en
rim.
même temps qu'on rehausse la pâte ici,
As you do this, use your thumb to cut the
on va la
dough by
faire
pressing it
descendre
onto
en
the
même temps
edge.
dans le
Then push the
le
lip
moule
up to make it
pour que ce
almost
soit
vertical,
bien
leaning slightly inward.
régulier.
Use the pastry
Pour que ce
pinchers
soit
or your
joli,
fingers to pinch
on
the
va
lip of
la
dough.
pincer.
This will make the crust attractive,
Comme ça,
but
elle
also serves
pose
to prevent
à
the dough from
cheval
sliding down the
légèrement
sides, since it overlaps
sur le
the
bord.
edges very slightly.
Alors,
Run
normalement,
your
faut
finger
laisser
around the
reposer
inside edge to make it even and
cette
perfectly
tarte
round.
environ un
Put
quart
the
d'heure,
tart
20
shell
minutes
into
dans
the
le
refrigerator
frigidaire.
for about 15 to 20 minutes.
On sortira la tarte du frigidaire.
After
on va
allowing it to
l'appliquer,
rest in the fridge,
bien
prick the
l'appliquer.
bottom well with a fork.
Voilà, avec une fourchette. Et à l'intérieur de cette tarte,
Line the mold with a
on
piece
va
of
mettre
parchment paper,
un papier
being very
en
careful
faisant
not to damage
très
the edges.
attention de ne pas casser les bords de la tarte. Voilà. Et à
Fill the center with
l'intérieur,
cherry pits, dried beans,
mettra des
or
noix
pie
de
weights to
cerise
prevent the dough from puffing as
ou
it
des
bakes.
haricots, ou des pois chiches, comme on veut. Voilà. Ensuite, on va cuire cette tarte 20 minutes.
Place the
Dans le
tart
four
shell
à
in the oven and allow it to
180
bake for about
degrés.
20 minutes. Meanwhile, beat a whole egg and prepare a small pastry
Donc,
brush.
alors,
After 20 minutes,
maintenant,
remove
on
the paper and weights.
va sortir les noyaux. Dans le fond du moule, on va passer
Brush the interior with the egg glaze, being sure to fill the fork
en
holes.
bouchant bien les trous.
This will waterproof the crust and keep it from getting soggy later. Put the
Et on
tart
fait
shell
cuire
back into
environ
the oven and bake it for about
10
another
minutes,
10
toujours
minutes.
à 180.
To peel the
On
onions,
va éplucher
use a small knife.
les oignons pour le... C'est vrai qu'on va faire bien. Voilà, on enlève la peau, on enlève ensuite la deuxième peau,
Always remove the second layer of the onion.
si on veut.
Then cut them in
Ensuite, on
half
coupe l'oignon
lengthwise
en
and lay
deux.
them on their flat sides.
Et avec le couteau chef,
Use a large knife to slice the onions as
émince
finely as
l'oignon.
possible.
très très fin. Le plus fin possible, de manière qu'il cuise le plus vite possible.
Put them
Alors,
into
on
a
va
large
ajouter
sauté
environ
pan and add about 1 cup of water.
Alors, salé,
Season
poivré,
them with salt, pepper, and a little freshly grated nutmeg.
légèrement muscadé. Alors, bien sûr, il y a 500 grammes d'oignons. Hein.
Add the unsalted butter,
Voilà, et on ajoutera 70 grammes
and the chef will be covering the pan with a round of parchment
de
paper.
beurre.
Press the paper directly onto the surface of the onions and
Voilà.
allow them to cook
fait
on
cuire
medium heat for about
10
10
minutes,
to
un quart
15
d'heure.
minutes.
Avec le papier.
Remove the pre-baked tart shell from the oven. The bottom should be
Voilà.
blonde and the edges
Bien,
golden
on a enlevé
brown.
le papier. Maintenant, on laisse
Reduce the oven temperature to 375
les oignons
degrees.
glacés dans le beurre
After 10 to
puisque
15 minutes,
l'eau
or
s'est
once the
évaporée.
water has evaporated,
Alors, bien
remove the
dessécher.
paper from the onions.
Bon, ça a pris un
Stir
tout
them
petit peu
gently and swirl the
de
pan
beurre,
to
hein,
glaze
mais
them.
très, très légèrement.
They will color a little but should remain golden.
Alors, vous évitez trop de remuer avec la cuillère en bois pour ne pas faire de la compote. Voilà, on tourne les oignons. Bien.
Remove
voilà,
the onions
c'est
from the
cuit.
heat. Now prepare the quiche mixture.
Voilà, alors ensuite on va préparer la crème pour la garniture.
Put the egg yolks into a small bowl.
On va alors
Season them
poivrer,
with salt, pepper,
saler
and a little freshly grated nutmeg.
et un tout petit peu de
Be careful with the nutmeg since it's very strong.
muscade.
Mix the yolks well.
Alors on a dit 200 grammes de crème fraîche.
Measure the creme fraiche or heavy cream and add it to the yolks.
Voilà, cette crème on la met dans le bol avec les jaunes et les épices. Bien
Whisk the
mélanger
mixture well.
le jaune, la crème, voilà. Alors ensuite,
Put the cooked onions into the baked tart shell and spread them out evenly. Do not pack down the onions.
Ensuite, on ajoute la crème.
Pour some of the quiche mixture over the onions.
Do
Do not add it all at once.
D'une fourchette,
Use a fork to gently mix it with the
on
onions.
mélange bien.
You will carefully transfer the tart to the hot oven and spoon the remaining quiche mixture onto the top. Bake the onion tart for about 15 to 20 minutes or until the top is golden brown.
Voilà, on finit de mettre la crème pour monter jusqu'en haut.
15 to 20 minutes later, remove it from the
Bien,
oven
alors, la
and
tarte
allow
à
it to
l'oignon,
cool
elle est
for
cuite.
just a few minutes before
On
unmolding
va
it.
la sortir. Voilà. On va la laisser refroidir 2-3 minutes avant de la démouler.
Unmold the tart by placing it onto a small bowl or pan and allowing the fluted border to fall off. Then slide it off of the flat metal bottom.
Alors attends.
Serve this
Voilà.
onion tart warm. This dish can be served as an appetizer or for a light lunch with a salad. Now, Chef Alexandre Petrov will be preparing a similar dish, spinach and ham quiche. To make the spinach and ham quiche, first prepare the pâte brisée. Line the tart mold and begin to pre-bake the crust. Follow the same procedures as for the onion tart. The filling consists of spinach, shredded Gruyère cheese, sliced Bayonne or Parma ham, crème fraîche or heavy cream, and eggs. Here are the ingredients. Pâte brisée, 1 cup all-purpose flour, a ½ cup cake flour, a ¼ teaspoon salt, 7 tablespoons unsalted butter, softened, 1 tablespoon cold water, 1 egg, 3/4 pound spinach, 1 egg slightly beaten for glazing, 2 tablespoons unsalted butter, salt, freshly ground pepper, a ¼ pound sliced Bayonne or Parma ham, 2 egg yolks, a ½ cup heavy cream, 3/4 pound shredded Gruyère cheese. Start by tearing the stems off of the spinach leaves. Pull off the whole stem.
Voilà. Et ensuite, ces épinards, vous les lavez 3 fois à l'eau froide.
Wash the leaves several times in cold water. Use your hands to lift the spinach out of the water, leaving the dirt and sand in the bottom of the bowl. Drain the leaves in a colander.
L'eau dans le bol reste propre. Voilà. Alors ensuite, on va le laisser s'égoutter légèrement. On va finir la tarte. Alors on prend un œuf.
Make an egg glaze by beating a whole egg into a small bowl. Once the tart shell is halfway baked, brush the inside with some egg glaze. This is to waterproof the crust and prevent it from getting soggy later.
Et ensuite, on laisse cuire.
Continue to bake it for about 10 more minutes. With a large knife, chop the spinach coarsely.
Voilà.
Heat 1 tablespoon of butter in a large pan
Le beurre chante.
and add the spinach.
On va tout mettre. On prendra juste ce qu'il faut. Par contre, tu essuies. Alors, on les sale.
Season with salt and pepper. It is important to add salt at the beginning to keep the spinach bright green.
Voilà. Et on remue
Stir
tout de
well
suite.
and allow the spinach to cook until all of the
De manière
moisture has
à éviter
evaporated.
qu'ils s'attachent. Et on les fait bien dessécher. Alors, salé et poivré. Mais le plus important, c'est
Notice
de
how
mettre tout
quickly
de
the
suite
spinach loses its
le
volume.
sel pour les garder bien verts. Voilà. Bien, alors maintenant, on va...
Cut the ham into thin strips about 1/4 inch wide and 2 inches long.
J'ai gardé une dernière pour vous faire voir. Hein. Alors, environ 4 cm sur 1 mm. Voilà, avec l'aide du couteau chef, vous taillez des lanières. On va prendre un sautoir dans lequel on va mettre environ...
Heat 1 tablespoon of butter in a sauté pan. Don't forget to stir the spinach as it cooks. Remove the baked tart shell from the oven.
Donc notre fond est complètement cuit. Voilà. Le beurre.
Once the butter is hot, add the ham. Stir Stir the ham and cook for a few seconds.
Le jambon de Bayonne au beurre. Alors on va égoutter tout de suite.
Pour it into a strainer to remove the excess fat, but keep the pan. Continue to cook the spinach until all of the moisture has evaporated.
La crème pour la garniture. Alors, dans
Now
le fond du
prepare
bol,
the
on va
quiche
mettre
mixture.
2 jaunes d'œufs.
Put the egg yolks into a small bowl.
Dans lequel on va mettre
Season with pepper and just a tiny bit of salt, since Bayonne and Parma ham are already salty.
parce que le jambon de Bayonne, il est très salé. Ensuite, 200 grammes de crème fraîche.
Measure the crème fraîche or heavy cream and add it to the egg yolks.
Que l'on ajoute sur les jaunes d'œufs.
Whisk the mixture well.
Voilà, bien mélanger ensemble.
Measure the shredded Gruyere cheese and set it aside.
Peser 40 grammes de gruyère. Voilà.
By now, the spinach should be
Bien.
dry.
Alors, les épinards sont secs. On va
Put the
reprendre
drained
le-
ham back into the pan it was cooked in.
Voilà, donc tout
Throw
le gras
away the remaining
qui se
fat.
trouve ici ne sera pas dans la tarte. Voilà.
Add the
Ensuite,
spinach to the ham.
les épinards dans le
As you can
potoir.
see, spinach loses most of its volume as it cooks, so scrape the bottom of the pan to retrieve all of it.
Voilà, butcher, je veux plus. Voilà,
Stir the
bien
ham and
mixer,
spinach together and cook them slightly.
Bien finir de dessécher. Voilà.
Put the
Donc, il nous
cooked
reste
spinach
plus
and
qu'à
ham mixture into the
garnir le
tart
fond.
shell. Spread it into an even layer.
Alors,
Top it with the quiche mixture and mix it together gently with a fork.
voilà, la même chose, un peu de crème pour bien mélanger. Attends. En dernier,
Cover
le
the top
fromage.
with the shredded Gruyere cheese.
Voilà, ça va. Voilà, et ensuite,
Transfer the quiche
dans
to
le
the oven
four,
and bake it for
on
about
met
20
20
minutes,
minutes.
or until a knife inserted into the center of the quiche comes out clean.
Voilà, on la sort. On la laisse
Then you'll remove the
refroidir
quiche from the oven
2-3 minutes.
and allow it to cool for 2 to 3 minutes. Unmold the quiche by placing it onto an upside-down
Légèrement
bowl
refroidi,
and
on
allowing
la
the
met dans
fluted
le
border
plat.
to fall off. Slide it off the metal bottom and onto a rack. Allow it to cool slightly before placing it onto a serving platter. And don't forget, there are 7 more cassettes available of outstanding recipes from the Cordon Bleu.